be presenting teaching tips, presented by me and Anshi. So if anyone has any questions, blah, 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 and yeah. So first we're gonna do patience with kids, then we're gonna do diverse age group pacing, followed by keeping their attention and courage, being on top of things. Then we're going to do our water break, which is like just 2 to 3 minutes. We're gonna do in-class breaks, teaching techniques, extra software. Rules for as long as they're related to the topic, they should be perfectly fine. Questions are also a great way to build off of a conversation. So if you're talking about, let's say, ocean, like, I think she's gonna teach progression classes, aren't she? And can you ask Aranyo to add her class on the calendar?
Oh, Aranyo? Is it a progression class?
Yes.
Oh, progression. I don't take care of progression.
Okay. Then we can ask like Vinti or Urvianti. So.
Yeah, but Mamta Auntie takes care of that.
Okay, then we can ask her to do it. But too many questions can throw a class off its rails. So let's say you're talking about an ocean, and then you say, who here likes to swim? Then you can, oh, did you know that the fastest, let's say, Olympic swimmer is Michael Phelps? Then you say, hey, who has watched the movie Finding Nemo? Dory keeps on saying, just keep swimming. And then you're all the way to like a movie from the ocean. So it's like you're way off track. You want to know that limit. 2. You need to answer the most important questions, and then you can ignore some of the really, I wouldn't say dumb, because all questions are good questions, but some of the questions that they should know the answer to, and they do know the answer to. Because a lot of kids, especially the younger kids, they just ask questions and they don't really think about what they're saying. Mm-hmm. Like when I was doing an art project once, they were like, hey, can you measure your paper for me? What color is your paper? Hey, can I use watercolor instead of paint? What kind of salt is it? So they should know that, okay? So you can just ignore that. Let them try to figure it out on their own. So it's like priorities. Because the really important questions are the ones who everyone will want you to answer. Pacing. These are the problems. Older kids are the ones waiting around, and younger kids are those who are asking the questions. So put both classes in one, and you have a lot of questions and bored older kids. So you don't want that. So how do we handle this? How do we make sure that everyone's on the same page? The solutions. Handle this problem by talking clearly and slowly. You want to make sure that you remind students that you will not repeat the step. And ensure all the kids are on the same page and you do not have to repeat. Do not get upset. Breathe and stay calm. Keeping their attention. These are the problems. Teaching something complicated like I don't know, something science of the human body, something really complicated, and you're talking about neurons and protons and all that, and 4-year-old kids are just like, what? No, right? So you want to make something fun, and it'll keep them distracted for the next class, which will not be a benefit to the next instructor, and that's because it's like a ripple effect. So if someone doesn't really do a good job, let's say teaching, I'm not saying we are terrible teachers, we're saying that we're amazing teachers, but let's say some other teachers, they're doing not very good jobs, which me and Anshi would never do, by the way, and okay, so then the kids for the next class, they would be like, oh my god, and let's say this class is really interesting, but they still don't want to learn because it's like they're really distracted. And the teachers will have trouble bringing back the attention of the students. This is the solution. Add a simple related craft or activity at the end of the class. It makes the class interactive and kids get to learn and have fun. So it's like 2 in 1. because the parents want to know, hey kids, what'd you learn today? And the kids can't just be like, hey, we played a Kahoot and we did this and we played tic-tac-toe. It was so fun. No, okay? This will guarantee that the kids stay engaged, okay, if you learn and have fun. Encourage. And this one is a really big one. So these are some words or phrases you can use. Great job, well done, cool, nice, amazing. They're like different words like that. Winning and losing. Do not do points. That makes the kid feel like they have not done well and makes them not try hard next time. Instead, what you can do is tell them as long as they tried hard, they won. Do this to encourage them and try harder next time. So it'll motivate them, not demotivate. Yes, this will motivate them to try hard. Being on top of things. These are some tips. Make sure to send out a schedule on what to expect in the class. And this will also help the parents know what their child is going to be learning, help them get prepared, and it'll make sure that the kids aren't distracted, which is a really big one, because if you don't tell them the schedule, what you're going to be doing, then they'll be like, hey, now can we do the Kahoot? Now can we do the experiment? We've had that question so many times. It's just like, no.
You always want to make an agenda.
Yeah.
And share it with the class. Don't just keep it to yourself.
Because then they don't know what they're doing. Okay, then you're going to be like, okay, guys, now let's do the craft. Get out your materials. And they'll be like, what? We're doing the craft now?
Yeah.
So, reviews. Send out a doc or Google Slides on what was learned in the class, because some kids, they come late. Me and Anshi have had this a lot. Some kids, they'll come like halfway or even like right when the class is done. And they'll be like, hey, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be like 10 minutes left. And let's say they really enjoyed that part of the class. So, then you want.
So I'm going to be talking about in-class breaks, okay, and some other stuff like teaching tips. So the problems are like kids have a lot of screen time during the whole day of camp when they're attending all the classes, and then they're physically inactive while they're sitting down. Plus there's eye strain, tiredness, poor posture, dehydration, which is all bad stuff. So the solution to all of those problems is to take water and snack breaks to be hydrated and fresh. And you want to introduce a physical activity in between the class. For example, play maybe a workout video for the kids to follow along that's just like 1 minute, or do a blinking break, yoga poses, or stretching. So a blinking break is basically, it's a thing I do where you just tell all the kids, okay, I'm setting a 1 minute timer and you have to blink your eyes for 1 minute, okay? So then you set a timer and then you want to blink your eyes. And what this does, it makes the blood circulation in your eyes flow, because when you're staring at the screen, you don't blink as often. So you don't get as much blood circulation. So that's why I do blinking breaks. And yoga poses, like, I don't know, downward dog or butterfly. Get those muscles a little looser. Same with stretching, like touching your toes, reaching for the sky. Those are all good things to do in between your class. And here's some teaching techniques that Anushka and I think are really helpful. So you want to be brief in what you're saying. So you want to speak less, say more, if that makes any sense. So what I mean is it's hard to hear when you're feeling overwhelmed, which is really true. So if the teacher's like giving you all this information, I don't think I think half of that information will just go out of your brain, and only half of it would stick. So your goal is to de-escalate the wording, all the info and stuff, add some motivation, and add some other things in. Like you want to make interactions and some other stuff I'll talk about in the rest of the presentation. And you want to keep interactions simple, meaning you don't want to leave any room for debate or negotiation. Like, I don't know, some kid doesn't have the materials, right? Then they start crying in front of you. You just want to probably say something that might make them better, and maybe just ignore them because you have a class to teach, and it's really not the teacher's job to make just one kid feel good. The job as a teacher is to you want to keep everyone entertained, not just one person, everyone. Okay? Also, you want to adjust to all learning styles. So visual learners, they like drawings, diagrams, pictures, videos, etc. And auditory learners like explanations, videos, and discussions. And reading and writing people are usually people who want more information about that subject, like homework, assignments, review docs, slides, and Google Classroom, which we can make totally available to you. And kinesthetic learners like me, we like to do hands-on activities like experiments and craft activities. Okay, so now let's talk about interactions. So lectures can be found on YouTube, and I would highly recommend using those because they're more professional and they're meant for like National Geographic. They're like meant for kids. So if you're teaching something science related, definitely get it from National Geographic on YouTube. And you want to ask questions that grab attention to the kids. For example, you want to ask questions which kids have to guess for. So, for example, you want to add a hint before the answer is a hint. You want to add a picture before the answer as a hint, and you want to ask continuously if kids have any questions. Because, like Kanushka said before, some kids will be shy if you don't ask them if they have any questions. Also, you want to ask for kids' opinion, and you want to start discussions like that are relevant to the topic. Like if you're teaching the class about swimming, a good question would be like, do you like to swim? And there's many ways you can elaborate on this question, so it can become a whole discussion. Another tip is to reflect, meaning John Dewey once said, "We do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience." So you want to be honest with yourself. This will help you become a great leader, like a teacher or a public speaker, or just basically anyone. So you want to be mindful and you want to make changes in the future. Meaning if you did bad if let's say you made a kid feel bad during your class, next time you don't make the same mistake. So you reflect on your older mistakes and you make sure they don't happen again. And feedback. So you want to ask for feedback and implement it during your class. So what I do is I create a feedback form for my class, and I just share that at the end of the class for the kids to fill it out. So I know my feedback. I know what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing well, so I can implement it in my next class. And in between your presentation or your class, you want to ask if the speed you're talking or the speed you're doing is fine for everyone, because some people might think that I'm talking way too fast or I'm talking way too slow. So you want to match everyone's learning styles, I guess. And also, you want to breathe. So you want to give yourself time. So you don't want to start teaching like right away. You want to first, like attend one of our sessions because we have great tips. Ask an experienced teacher for help, and then you can start teaching. I would recommend that way so you know what you're doing when you're teaching. And sometimes you just have to cut yourself a break. So, like Anushka was doing earlier, she was managing the Zoom meeting for 3 hours. That must have been very boring. And she told me the kids are very naughty. So, yeah, sometimes you might want to ask someone, like, just ask if Anushka is doing the managing. She could just send me an email saying, "Hey Anchi, are you available to manage this Zoom link right now? I need a break from these kids," or something like that. Because we all understand that we all need breaks at some point, right? Because you can't just do one thing forever and never need a break. That is just not so human. And you want to ask for help. This is very, very big. Because if you don't know how to do something, like how to work a Zoom meeting or something, it would be very helpful for yourself to ask someone experienced for help, right? So all of us teachers are here for you. So in the chat, I've shared the link to the EnthuZiastic teachers doc. So all the teachers' names are there with their emails. So you can contact any one of us if you have any questions. And one thing I've learned while teaching is not everything will go as planned. So for example, you're teaching a drop-in class and only one person shows up. Still go with the flow, teach normally. You don't want to, hold the whole class up because only one person is attending your class. You just want to teach your class normally so that one kid still benefits from your class. Okay? And you want to be realistic. And you want to be forgiving of your actions. So now I'm going to talk about the software we use. So we use Google Meet for some of the drop-in classes, but most of them we use Zoom. And for the we use Zoom for the summer camp and their speaker series in the middle school, basically all the summer camps. So some features you might not know about Zoom is when you're co-hosting or you're hosting, you can mute everyone and you can allow them not to mute yourself. I find this really useful when some of the kids are just like bombarding me with questions and you can't even hear like one question or one person saying something. Just use that Zoom feature that says mute all, and then you want to click on do not allow kids to unmute themselves. You want to click on that so there's no check mark there, and then the whole meeting, everyone will be muted. It's very helpful. I use that feature many, many times. Think all of us teachers do. Very helpful. Now, there's this other thing called whiteboards. So if you want to teach something like math, I've seen a lot of math teachers use whiteboards in Zoom. So it's like a screen sharing option. You will figure it out. Yeah. Anyways, so here are some rules for teachers.
Anchi, do you want to like share the whiteboard after we're done with this?
Oh yes, I will.
Just show them how it looks.
Yeah. So now so the next section is rules for teachers to follow and for the classes. So rules for the teachers this is for us and you, is to use appropriate language during your class. You don't want to bully the kids because bullying is not good, as we all know. And you want to use positive reinforcement, like encouraging words, like Anushka explained before. And also, you don't want to share your personal info, like your phone number and your email. That's just, I haven't made that rule. You just don't want to share it, your phone number, your email. And you don't want to advertise because that just gets strange. Okay, so if you guys could screenshot this page, I'll just wait 1 second or so you guys can screenshot this page.
And on a MacBook, like Apple, you do Control Shift 4 or Command Shift 4. And
I don't know, like for all the other things.
yeah, I only know for the MacBook.
Yeah, but we'll be sharing the slides and everything. And the rules for the classes. So you want to set these rules during your class at the very, start of your class. So just tell them, please work in a quiet place away from noise. Stay on mute unless asked to talk. And you want to stay respectful to everyone. And do not say anything mean or rude to anyone. So these are the rules you would use at the start of your class just to, set the boundary and everything, boundary line.